I want you, we can bring it on the floor. Never danced like this before. We don't talk about it.
Hey guys, what is cracking? It is me, Kraken Nation, and today we are reinvigorating a series that I haven't done in quite a while, but I'm pretty excited to be trying to get back into. Hopefully with the CSL videos kind of starting to not taper off, but get more spaced out, I'll be able to manage to fit either Fire Red, Nuzlocke episodes, or these, or Showdown lives more often in between, because I know those have been things that people have been wanting. So I'm going to try to do that more. Anyways, let's hop right into it. So today we're going to be looking at a personal, if not my favorite, one of my favorite megas, which is Mega Medicham. It's kind of a weird looking thing. Wearing some pretty funky pants, some pretty funky clothes in general, but this thing is a powerhouse. So let's get right into these stats. Sitting with a fighting psychic typing, which is unchanged from its prior normal evolution, Mega Medicham resides at the A- rank, which is, while is pretty low for OU standards as far as you look at the Violet rankings, is still no slouch. Looking at its stats, you're definitely going to see that there is nothing very special here. That is kind of sad. I guess the attack stat looks decent. Not good, but it's a stat. And the other thing worth noting is going to be your speed stat, which allows you to outspeed at least base 100, anything below base 100, and speed tie with other opposing base 100s. However, none of this is going to be enough to make Medicham any kind of a threat. What really sells Medicham as a Pokemon is the ability Huge Power. Now, Huge Power and Pure Power, respectively, are two abilities that are extremely rare in distribution and extremely valuable in what they do. That is, they double the attack stat of that Pokemon. They double, not the base stat. That's something worth noting. This 100 does not essentially become 200. It actually becomes 218 because these are not directly correlated stats. They're kind of more proportioned. So the attack stat of Mega Medicham is almost equivalent to 218, but again, not exactly. And what I mean by that is you take the number that, if you were to go into Showdown, or you go on your Pokemon X and Y, or ORAS, or whatever game you're playing with Medicham in it, and it has the ability Huge Power, and you have, let's say, EV investment, or whatever your stat is. Let's say that stat is 170. That attack stat, once you get into battle, is going to become 340. That's what it means by that doubled attack stat. Now, what's really meaningful about this is not only does a base 100 hit something like 299 attack uninvested, which becomes 598 attack without any investment of any kind. That's just normal, not reducing nature. If you look into Adamant, which is probably not what you're going to be running, but Adamant 1 hits 656. And then the other thing is that, similar to Azumarill, again another Huge Power user, is that Medicham might be Pure Power. I might be wrong on that. I don't know. They're essentially the same thing for all intents and purposes. But another cool thing about it is that the EVs you put into the attack stat will all be worth 2 times as much. That's because every 4 EVs is worth 1 base point, ultimately towards that final stat. And that one stat, when it goes into the Pokemon Showdown damage calculations, becomes doubled. So that means, again, so they invested 299 attack stat becomes that an Adamant becomes 656. That's pretty crazy, and I don't know if I previously said this. I might have. The attack stat basically wordles around 218. What's really awesome about this is while Mega Medicham stats might look subpar from the get-go, it actually ends up having what is currently the highest attack stat in all of the OU tier, and one of the highest attack stats in the game altogether. Second, I think, only to the only Pokemon that comes to mind, I think, second to Mega Mile, who's also a Huge Power user and resides at 105 attack. So with that in mind, let's hop right into it. Actually, one thing I want to go over: fighting psychic typing is a really cool offensive typing, being weak to but also really not great defensive typing, being weak to Fairy, Flying, Ghost, all 3 of which are common, and only having 2 resistance, Fighting and Rock, also both of which are common. But the thing is, Medicham isn't able to utilize its resistances very often because it honestly just doesn't have the bulk to do so. It's a very non-bulky wall breaker type Pokemon. But really, looking at its set, there's really only one set to run, but you do have some options within that set itself. So this is going to be the wall breaker, all-out attacker type set. You're going to want to run 252 attack, 253 speed, and almost certainly a Jolly Nature. What's important about Jolly Nature is that this secures outspeeds on things such as Manaphy, or at least speed ties on things such as Manaphy, Jirachi, which is honestly, these are things that honestly in the game will end up mattering a lot. And so it's really important that you run gel. If that attack boosting nature really matters to you, that is again an option, because as is pretty awesome with Pokemon like Medicham, that attack nature boost becomes kind of doubled. So that 320 attacks that you ends up hitting with Adamant Nature ends up becoming 656. So that is up to you, but I would really highly recommend Jala, and of course your item's going to have to be Medichamite. Looking at its moves, however, you're going to want to run, definitely all Medicham sets will run Fake Out. Fake Out is essentially a move that any Pokemon that gets likes to run, because Fake Out obviously is just free damage. It's literally that's all it is. Hits almost everything, is free damage on anything. What's really cool about Fake Out on Medicham is Pokemon that are physically defensive, such as Landorus T, like to switch in on it, fake a Scarf. However, what's awesome about Fake Out is that unless you want to go all the way and predict and click Ice Punch or something, Fake Out is safe. You'll do enough damage to reveal that Pokemon's item if it's running leftovers. You can see that it's running leftovers and know what to expect from it. And so personally, like, Fake Out, I feel like is almost 100%, like probably around 90% of the time, it's worth just clicking Fake Out, unless you see some very problematic switch in that, such as a Gengar, or other Ghost type or something, or a Rocky Helmet user such as Ferrothorn or Garchomp. Those are the two cases that I can think of are really the only options where maybe clicking Fake Out is like not the best play. And of course, if you want to make plays, that's up to you. But the safest play will almost always be clicking Fake Out. Beyond that, you're almost certainly going to want to run High Jump Kick. I have Drain Punch here as an option for recovery, and Drain Punch is a cool option for recovery, but the thing is, Medicham just really values that High Jump Kick's damage. It is the strongest stab attack, and of course, you don't want to play around with Protect and Ghost types, which we'll get into the team building aspect later on. But High Jump Kick does do so much more damage. I know that Fake Out plus High Jump Kick has a chance to OHKO even physically defensive Rotom Wash, which is just obscene. That's like a physically defensive Pokemon known for its physical defense ability as a pivot, and it can get OHKO'd by Fake Out plus High Jump Kick. That's insanity. High Jump Kick also OHKOs things like Manaphy, non-defense invested defense invested. What am I trying to get out here? Jirachi. A lot of Pokemon that honestly are like not necessarily bulky mons, but have a good amount of bulk. It's what this ultimately means for Mega Medicham is that clicking High Jump Kick is also a very safe play a lot of time, as long as there's no Ghost type or you're not fearing a Protect, because High Jump Kick does so much damage to things that are even neutral to it. Honestly, even resistances. Sylveon can't switch into a Zen Head into a High Jump Kick without taking like 70%. So like a lot of resisted, weaker Pokemon can't even take damage. So that's going to be Pokemon that are like weaker on the physical defense side. Again, Drain Punch is an option if you want the recovery, but I really highly recommend High Jump Kick. The next spot, honestly, you're going to really want to run Ice Punch, as it keeps Tank Chomp from getting too much momentum against you. Otherwise, you really are going to take a lot of damage from it. Tank Chomp can take a High Jump Kick. It also hits Landorus T very, very hard, and you are going to be outspeeding if you opt to run Tim Nature. Even speed invested, non-scarfed Landorus T's. Thunder Punch is also an option. Really, Thunder Punch is exclusively there to hit flying types that almost mainly Talonflame that want to switch into Medicham, such as on a move such as Ice Punch or Fake Out, although they usually don't want to switch into Fake Out just because that does like 40% damage to a lot of Pokemon. Thunder Punch is also primarily, I would say, honestly, a majority of the reason why you run Thunder Punch on Mega Medicham is going to be for hitting Slowbro, as I think it guarantees a 2-hit KO on Slowbro that no other move that Mega Medicham has is capable of, which makes it a pretty viable option. Although I will say that Thunder Punch, you give up a lot of versatility with Ice Punch. Ice Punch hitting a lot of bulkier Pokemon very super effectively, such as Landorus T, such as Garchomp, such as non-evolved Venusaur, although you could hit those Zen Head. But anyways, Ice Punch is generally just a greater greater coverage move all around. Finally, in the last slot, you kind of have to pick between Zen Headbutt and Bullet Punch. To be completely honest, between these last four moves being Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Zen Headbutt, Bullet Punch, you can pick your configuration. This is how I decided to opt to express it to you guys. Zen Headbutt is a great secondary stab move, a little bit more reliable than High Jump Kick, not in terms of accuracy, but just because High Jump Kick has such a really intense downside if you miss, being you lose 50% of your health on the turn you miss. However, Zen Headbutt also does offer neutral coverage on a lot of like things such as flying types that want to come into high jump kick, or things like Sylveon, so that want to come in, then Headbutt, then achieving KOs. It also does KO Mega Venusaur, who's otherwise a defensive Mega Venusaur, is a very solid check/counter to Medicham. So Zen Headbutt gives you a way to, I think it's a 2-hit KO on fully physically defensive Venusaur, and a OHKO on any variant that isn't fully physically defensive. However, then you also get into the option of Bullet Punch. Unfortunately, Medicham doesn't get Mach Punch, but that's okay, because it does also get Bullet Punch. Bullet Punch is really great because it lets it get dual priority and makes it a fantastic revenge killer to bring in later in the game. Fake Out giving you that one guaranteed turn of damage with a flinch, and then Bullet Punch being enough to clean up a lot of Pokemon from there. Some really non-bulky Pokemon can't take Fake Out plus Bullet Punches very well. Gengar, after a few turns of Life Orb recoil, Gengar takes around 70% from. Gengar takes around 40% from a Bullet Punch. So that gives you a way to hit Gengar. Alakazam, I think, takes around 70 to 80% from Fake Out plus Bullet Punch. Gardevoir cannot take Gardevoir O-Code. Everything except physically defensive Gardevoir. I think Bulky Modest, I guess, might be able to avoid it. I'm not sure. But Fake Out Bullet Punch does achieve KOs on that. It also does a lot of damage to things such as Sylveon again. However, with Sylveon and also Clefable, Zen Headbutt actually ends up doing more damage to those Pokemon, so it's actually a lot of times better to click into that. One thing that's honestly a combo that I've used a lot with Medicham is that High Jump Kick plus Zen Headbutt, like, bops things. Like, Clefable, physically defensive Clefable cannot switch in and take a High Jump Kick and a Zen Headbutt, which is crazy to think about, because a lot of teams rely on Pokemon such as Clefable to take on Mega Medicham. And honestly, Zen Headbutt, if you do the base damage calculation in your head, Zen Headbutt ends up hitting 120 base power against Clefable, and Bullet Punch hits 80. Regardless, this is going to be the set that you're going to see the most often. Other options include running, some people like to run Grass Knot for slower, although I really wouldn't recommend that. Some people like to run Poison Jab for Fairies. Again, really wouldn't recommend that. Zen Headbutt already is doing what it needs to do. But beyond that, I don't really see Fire Punch as an option to hit Ferrothorn a little more reliably and not have to rely on High Jump Kick. That's going to be about it for potential moves. Now we're going to get into some good teammates and some problems that it faces. The first thing I want to talk about is strong special attackers. There's going to be things like Latios, like Thundurus T, Keldeo. A lot of these Pokemon that are able to hit strong on the special side appreciate a strong physical wall breaker, as they can form a really powerful attacking core for any team that requires a strong wall breaking core. Another really important thing is that Mega Medicham really appreciates defensive pivots that can stop bird spam. This is going to be Pokemon like Rotom Wash and Landorus T, physically defensive Landorus T specifically. These Pokemon can switch into Talonflame relatively well, Rotom Wash being especially good, also can cripple opposing Pokemon. And also, a couple other Pokemon that come to mind are going to be things like Scarftar, which can offer Pursuit Trapping to hit special attackers that you fear. And then also Hippowdon can check a lot of Volt Turn teams that scare Medicham. Finally, I put Clefable here because it is the prime example, but you're going to want a Fairy type essentially just to beat Mega Sableye. Mega Sableye is a massive problem and is basically the best counter in the game to Medicham. Medicham has literally nothing to hit Sableye. And Sableye also loves to switch into Medicham for that reason, so you want something like, because of a High Jump Kick miss chance, so you're going to want something that can really reliably deal with Sableye. This includes Pokemon such as Scarf Gardevoir, such as Clefable is like the best counter I can think of, but there's also Sylveon is a pretty good answer. Just honestly any Fairy type. Offensive Fire types can also work well, but that's going to have to be up to you ultimately. For Pokemon that really give it a hard time, obviously we have Mega Sableye here, as we just said. Mega Sableye is able to switch in and force it to take High Jump Kick recoil, which is something that Mega Medicham obviously does not want to take at all, because that's 50% of its health, and then basically from there, it's incredibly easy to be revenge killed. Also, Mega Medicham kills it with a Foul Play, does so much damage, it's like 80% with Foul Play, and also could burn it potentially. Talonflame and generally fast flying types. Fast Pokemon in general are all problems for Mega Medicham, as it resides in a speed tier where it is able to outspeed some slower, bulkier mons, which is why it's good against balance and stall type tactics, but it isn't as effective against Hyper Offense, because Hyper Offense mons tend to outpace it. Talonflame and Mega Manectric being two prime examples, although other Pokemon that happen to fulfill this are also Thundurus T, Thundurus I, Serperior, just really mons that fit well on offense, Mega Lopunny, anything really. Finally, the other true answer to Medicham is going to be Slowbro. Bulky psychic types in general, such as Stallbreaker Mew, such as Cresselia, are all Pokemon that can switch in with basically impunity. Scared out with either a Scaldborn or a Will-O-Wisp, or really just honestly just powerful stab attacks also, because Mega Medicham does not have the bulk and is hit neutral by psychic type moves thanks to its fighting typing. But that's gonna be honestly it. Mega Medicham has very few switch-ins. This so bulky psychic types and Mega Sableye are the only things that switch in. A lot of hyper offensive mons still don't switch in very well, and of course you can also hit them with Fake Out pretty awesomely and Revenge Kill, which is great. But that's about it. I really love Mega Medicham as a Pokemon in general. It fits really well on a lot of bulkier offense teams and balanced teams that really want to take accents of a powerful physical wall breaker. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, leave a like, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's always really appreciated. And I will see you guys in the laddering series, which will continue and should be coming out in a few days for this video. Kraken Nation, out. Oh man, that's so bad. Because the problem with a team full of poison type is a team full of poison spikes.